The Hawai'i Sports Radio Network on 95.1 FM and AM 760 presents Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani.
Good morning, beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I hope you guys remember me. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht and Michael Lescaro, and I am so excited and happy to be back on this Aloha Monday after not hanging out with you guys for the last few weeks. I'm actually surprised I made it in today. I was originally planned for the guys to still cover it today. I knew my flight was getting in yesterday afternoon, but, never know how I'm going to recover. First time being on for this long, never knew how I was going to recover. I tell you what, though, this morning I was kind of regretting that I told the guys that I would come in today, but it's okay. We are here. We are live on YouTube, Hawaii Sports Radio, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Disclaimer, just like I did the other time, I think when I joined in with you guys, that I have been up since about midnight. So,
dude. You're so crazy.
Please bear with me that I have been up since midnight. I told myself I was not going to go to sleep too early last night, but you know what? I was watching TV on the couch and boom, woke up where am I at around midnight, and I have been up ever since, kind of doing somewhat prep for the show, I guess, as much as I could focus. Tried to go to sleep around 4, but when you don't hit that REM sleep, I did not. So I essentially have been up since midnight. So here we go, boys. But thank you guys again to Paul and Michael for filling in and holding down the fort, and also Zornet. I know he was in here a few times. Also, AD Matt Elliott. That was a cool show. You guys can check that out on YouTube. I'll ask you guys about that a little later, probably in hour number 2. I want to get into some of that conversation with UH Athletics. But no, guys. How are we doing? And thank you guys again for helping me out the last few weeks. And I'm not the only one that was gone. Paul was also gone for a quick trip all the way to the East Coast. So Michael will probably, I don't know, Paul, maybe in between the show, we might just have to bow out of here and we'll just leave it up to Michael,
I would be all right with that. I mean, he was working his tail off this weekend while we were making our way back. A lot of traveling for us, but a great time for me. I was glad that we were able to toss the show on Friday, celebrate the holiday and all of that. And a good time. Shout out to my buddy Taylor getting married in October. And thankfully, he's doing it during a Hawaii football bye week, which helps quite a bit. So shout out to him. Went out, celebrated him. Saw a lot of my friends. It's funny, some of the guys who were there, I didn't realize I haven't seen since I moved to Hawaii. So it was nice to see some really familiar faces who have been quite a far ways away. But yeah, certainly feeling the effects of travel today. Not as much as you, I would imagine, but the whirlwind of going to the East Coast was certainly a time.
Yeah.
Yes, I am here today. For those that were following the show while Ku was gone, you guys may have heard my attempt to quit caffeine, and I was doing pretty good, but obviously, it's been over 3 weeks since Ku was here in the studio and Paul was gone. So for today, the closed lid coffee mug has made an appearance in the den. So thank God these these people are back, because
okay.
I will probably be sleeping in tomorrow morning.
Oh my gosh. So we're just saying that all of us are basically trying to get our bearings right now. So that's just what we're saying. I do have my usual Ted Lasso coffee mug, but there is actually no coffee in here. So we're going to try to do maybe a scientific experiment and just see if this helps psychologically have me think it's coffee, but it's just water. So
what is that called? It's the placebo effect.
There we go. Thank you. I couldn't think of it at the time. I was like, there is an actual word for this, but I am not a STEM girly. So But thank you, Paul. I knew
Shout out my STEM girly sister.
Being the Lulu.
Yeah. So I do have my coffee mug, but it is filled with water because we still got to stay hydrated during the show since we have to talk so much. But yeah, it was a fun time. I went over to Europe for about a week, but before that, we stopped in Paul's home state of New York for a few days. Got a chance to see some Broadway stuff. Did a lot of walking. I think I don't know, maybe averaged the entire trip. We definitely averaged over 15,000 steps per day, like on average. Some days we hit over 20,000, but it was definitely a ton of walking. And yeah, and it's been a fun time. Hopefully I can keep the steps going when I'm back in here or back here at home, but definitely missed the food while I've been gone. I held out and didn't have any Asian food. I think it's no surprise what I had yesterday. Zippies, of course. Couldn't help it. Had some Zippies and had some Korean food. And then today, probably going to get some ramen or something. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But poke bowl or anything like that. Well, we're going to be on an Asian food trip like this entire time. And I'll probably get like a Lau Lau or something, go to Highway Inn and get some foods. Like I held out the entire time we were gone. But now it's time to get this local girl all of the food she grew up with. So that's definitely going to be my go-to for this. That's on my to-do list. On top of getting caught up with all the work and stuff and getting us prepared for the fall, the to-do list is going to be just stuffing my face with all of the local food and local restaurants that I have missed but fortunately I was able to get really solid Italian food and everything. But nothing beats being here. Like I will sacrifice the lack of authentic Italian food for everything else that we have here.
I would do the exact same thing. It's funny. Part of what... So I'll get into this later, of course, but during this weekend, I started to make some inroads with my friends about potentially making the trip out here to visit me. Well, I'm usually pretty persuasive. Food is a great persuasion tool. And the food that we have out here, I know these guys would love. So... shout out to the food for helping me start to make the actual progress of getting these non-travel bugs out here to travel a little bit and say aloha. But yeah, I missed it too.
2 days.
Yeah, and
you were still writing emails at 10:30 at night last night.
Yeah.
Happens.
I never changed my time zone. That was the thing. Like we may have changed time zones physically, but mentally, I couldn't do that. It was too much of a whirlwind. Though I will say it was, and I said this to Morgan, it felt weird to be in the Eastern time zone because I frequent here in Hawaii so much. I don't go back home very much to the East Coast. Like the last time.
When was the last time? A year ago for your
when I went for my wedding? Yeah. It was. Otherwise, the last time I was on the continent was for the San Francisco versus New York football game there, the Jets versus the Niners. That was it. Otherwise, I've been here. So it was like very strange to be back in the Eastern time zone because everything happened so early. And I used to love that. Oh yeah, everything's going on. Now I'm so used to waking up and like all the sports news happening that I was like, this is boring. What the heck's going on?
I was going to say, I mean, try like 12 hours and trying to keep up with everything. I am just
side of the day for you.
It was totally different and trying to like keep track of everything you guys were doing, tuning in when I could, catching some clips and everything. Very, very entertaining. Coming up on the show, though, we will talk some sports. We'll probably sprinkle some other things that happened on my trip throughout the day. I definitely want to tell you about the greatest Cubs game that I ever attended in person, which is funny because I joked about it before that if I go, usually they lose. Well, they did quite the opposite on the 4th of July, which, oh my gosh, like I don't know if I could ever go to a Cubs game again because that was just so incredible. So we'll talk about that a little later. We'll talk about some high school baseball, technically, as the Chace Numata Senior All-Star Classic happened on July 4th as well. That's where Michael Escaro was covering in the game. If you guys haven't yet, you can check out the full gallery and the recap at hawaiisportsradio.com, and we'll talk about the game here from a couple of the student athletes as well. So we got a lot to get into today, and yes, I see Caesar mentioning some NBA stuff. There was some big NBA news we'll chat about a little bit, and I do want to get into, like I said before, kind of talk to you guys and go back to that conversation and other times that we've seen Matt Elliott kind of make his public appearances and his media rounds and everything, and also some Hawaii football recruiting. So there is a lot to get into today, maybe sprinkle in some NFL because I know Michael kind of mentioned that like me with no prep and give my predictions for how all of the divisions will stack up.
We're just nice guys like that.
That's how it's going to,
right in the fire.
Just go. After not really keeping up or talking about sports for the last 3 weeks, easing my way into everything. But just real quick, though, before we go to break, especially for our YouTube viewers, just to go back and share a little bit about my trip. As I mentioned, we did start off in New York, but then the entire trip was mainly, I guess, surrounding this river cruise that we did, going down the Rhine River in Europe, starting off in Amsterdam and ending up in Switzerland, which was really, really cool. And so one of my favorite pictures, here's one of them. It's called the Dancing Houses in Amsterdam. I don't know if you guys ever knew too much about Amsterdam. I did not know how crooked a lot of these houses were on the canal. It is kind of interesting. Like back in the day, there was a lot of tax implications with how big your doorway was. So, and the houses are tall and you have to go up a lot of stories. So part of it is the fact that below the surface, it's pretty much built on marsh and they have to fill it in with cement so the houses tilt over time. But then also they're also tilted forward and they have kind of like these hooks in the front of the houses. And that's how people raise basically furniture into their house. So it was very fascinating because we were walking around and this is obviously delirious. Like it's 12 hours ahead of where our normal time zone is. And like, are these houses crooked? Because again, I never knew that Amsterdam had crooked houses before going there and seeing it for myself. So, and
it's not something you'd really think about, I would assume.
Yeah. And I knew the houses looked like this. I knew they had the canal. I knew they had the whole bike culture that we very much had to get used to. And you thought watching out for cars, like that's how you grow up. No. In Europe, it's very much watching out for bicycles because they will ram you, they will yell at you essentially, and it's just an entirely change of environment, but it was a good one, so it's really, really cool. But Amsterdam was awesome. We did like the canal cruise and the tour, so spent a few days there, jumped on the Avalon Waterways boat, started sailing down the Rhine, went to Germany, France, and then like we said, ended up in Switzerland. So it was really cool. It's my first time to Europe and learning and getting familiar with the culture. Paul, you and I were kind of talking about it, and I don't know if anyone is familiar with it, but I'm seeing a lot of my Instagram feed and Twitter feed being populated with these funny like videos about when people go to Europe and they come back home. And one of the things is like take a regular water bottle, or like Michael has one over there with the Gatorade. Like the water bottle, like the twisties, like the cap does not come off. Like it's like attached at the very end. You do twist it off, like Michael has, and he can twist off the entire cap like in America, and that's how we're used to too. But when you go to Europe, it does not twist off. And the first time I literally, like my first water bottle I opened there, I ripped the cap off because I'm like, it's supposed to come off. And then I realized our friends, the cap did the same thing. I mean, because you've had that happen before here where it doesn't come off, so you try to rip it off. And I realized that it's kind of doesn't, and then you're like, that's actually pretty darn genius that it doesn't come off, and like
it's a great idea. It's just you would never, once again, similar to the houses, you never really think of it unless you go experience it because you're so used to something other than that. My favorite thing traveling always, and this is funny, is because it's just the toilets going backwards. When you flush, the toilets go backwards. Did you notice that? Oh my goodness! I
don't think it doesn't affect my livelihood, so I don't think I noticed it.
Funny. Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. But yeah, Europe does everything. I won't say backwards because they predate us, but it is very interesting to see the different things that they do.
I do like the irony of not having air conditioning in Europe for this whole time. And guys, I walk into the studio and our air conditioning actually works in here.
I can't believe you.
It's a miracle.
I still can't believe you.
Wait, did it get over the weekend, or Michael has actually experienced it already?
Michael's experienced it. Yeah. The air conditioning's been working since you've been in the studio last, right, Michael?
I mean, I did come over the weekend, so.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, it's cold. It's cold. I mean, sometimes I don't even notice it, but I notice when it's colder. So it's colder.
It is certainly colder in here.
It feels amazing. So from not, by the way, any of my fellow people that love air conditioning here, if you go to Europe, be prepared. And just our luck, we went when it was pretty much a heat wave in Europe. So we're talking about 90 degrees during majority of the day when we're out and about and going into restaurants. No air conditioning in restaurants either, folks. So trying to enjoy delicious food while you're sweating is a new experience. But at least, you know, the alcohol gets filtered out every day because you're sweating so much.
All of it gets sweat out.
That's my reasoning, and I'm sticking to it. So it was a new experience, and I'm so happy to be back, though. But yeah, it was just a fun experience for everybody. And oh yeah, here, I forgot to show that one picture for our YouTube. This is a kind of us sticking our head out of our river cruise. And those are some of the girlies that I was with, and we were looking out at the castle. So you're going down the Rhine there, you pass like maybe like 25 to 30 castles at least during your entire cruise. It is really, really cool. If I highly recommend. If you do got to stay for it, it is pretty pricey, and it's one of those potentially once in a lifetime type of things, but it is a lot of fun. And you just open up your window from your room, or you can go to the other common areas. And yeah, we just go down the Rhine. And for anyone that gets seasick, obviously, since it's on a river, you don't get the choppiness per se. So it really doesn't feel like you're on a boat. You don't really have sea legs, or I never noticed it. So it's a fun time and a fun experience. And yeah, and then we ended things off in Chicago, which will definitely, which we do need to take a break. But when we come back, we will start transitioning into some sports talk. But yes, it'll be about Chicago because we'll talk some Major League Baseball. I know, right? And like, who comes back and we're talking baseball already? Here we go. Like,
person.
You guys talked enough NBA and basketball.
Oh my God, yeah, we knocked it out of the park.
And you had your NFL show for that. So we'll go and talk some baseball. I went to the Cubs game on Friday, and it was the greatest game I have ever attended in my life. And Cubs set a new single season home run record, and it was a fun time. So we'll be back to talk some baseball and also the Chace Numata Senior All-Star Classic as well. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Let's go. Let's go.
Apparently, I'm still gone.
I'll fix that here coming up. I normally change the color of that.
Oh man, it's okay. You're half asleep too, so you're just returning from your trip as well.
It's on me.
No, welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Kule Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Liscarroll. Yes, I am back after, and I have been up since midnight, so I'm clearly still on the European / maybe East Coast time of when we would get up and start doing some things. But yeah. Talked a little bit about the trip. Going to talk a little bit of Major League Baseball just a second, because we ended our trip at Chicago, which... Chicago, you are just continuing to do Chicago things, because just when I think, oh, I've probably been to this city enough, you know, I've done pretty much everything. Nope. Every time I go back, it's just as beautiful, and we're always blessed with really nice weather there. It was good to get into some normal, like 70, low 80 degree weather. Oh gosh, my voice is not in shape anymore.
Welcome back. That's what happened to Paul all the time in the show when you're gone. But yeah, I guess when you're in Chicago, everything just goes well. I always question your fandom of Chicago, but it seems like every time you're there, everything just goes swimmingly for you, and I can see why you love Chicago and their teams.
Yes. Sorry, guys. This is why I didn't have coffee in my fridge and didn't leave my house early enough to go get coffee. And so it's water. But yes, apparently I need to still get my voice back into shape here, because we're not even halfway through the show. And my throat is already like tickling at this.
We are an 8 through the show.
This is what it's going to be. It's okay.
There's still plenty to talk about.
But yes, Chicago, weather was gorgeous. And there is one thing, though, that would always be a common thing, because you're saying that, Michael, that everything seems to go well, except for the fact that when I normally go to Cubs games, they always lose, including the 2 World Series games that I was fortunate to go to, or like one at the rooftop. Those are the 2 games they lost, went down 3-1. The rest is history. Fortunately, it went in favor of the Cubs. But they just like to lose. I remember maybe my second game I went to, like 2018-ish maybe, and they were playing the Reds when the Reds were really bad. And I mean, I guess they're still technically at the bottom like they always are. But it was when they were really bad.
Gotta get
and Chicago was good at the time, and now they're good again, obviously. But they lost. Like when you thought, all right, they're totally the favorite to win in this game, and they lost. So I thought the Cubs had already won. They were on maybe like a 4 or 5 game win streak, I think, before Friday. And I am just going into it thinking, all right, well, I'm going, and they're on this win streak. So you know what? They're probably going to lose, because that's just the way that it has gone for me. And when I watch the Cubs and all of that stuff, so I'm cool with it. I love Wrigley. Wrigley is definitely one. I mean, I haven't been to every MLB ballpark like Paul has, but from the ones I've been to, and this is, I believe, not necessarily biased to the team, it's definitely one of the best ballparks in Major League Baseball, and one of the best, I guess, professional facilities. It's just very nostalgic and in the middle of a neighborhood and everything like that. So a lot of stuff about Wrigley is just very iconic and classic and very enjoyable just to go to the ballpark, because I did get to go to Yankee Stadium, and I've never went to the old one. The new one is kind of
The new one feels too much like a cathedral in a lot of ways. Like I don't love it. It's a business building. I don't know. It's fine, but it's not great. I agree with you on Wrigley where, and this is even with renovations to it, right? Where you look at it, you're able to understand the nostalgia, like you mentioned. You have the ivy, you have the actual legend that is there, but it doesn't feel like you're stuck in it.
What's going on here?
We're trying, guys.
I think y'all need to go.
Michael just needs to be the one that talks in the show, because I am just like not.
It's just what it is.
I don't know about you. I just haven't been talking this much for a long time.
You guys gotta go get COVID tested or something.
No,
absolutely not. I'm perfectly fine on that.
Definitely not sick.
See, that got you guys to sober up the throat real quick, because you guys are all fine now.
It's just oh man, I'm not used to talking for this much. But anyways, yeah. So we went to the Cubs game. They essentially, and I'll share you guys a picture with you guys on YouTube real quick. That is me holding an official, it's first base. It's the official first base. It has the Independence Day on there because it was on Friday, the 4th of July. And the Cubs hit 8 home runs in that game, setting a new single game record for the franchise. And I'm like, this is incredible. I can't believe this is happening. There may have been a time, I think in the 5th inning, that I thought I jinxed them because I'm like, oh, I'm going to get to sing the song, the Go Cubs Go song that they only play when the Cubs win.
Go Cubs.
Obviously,
go.
Mike looked at me with disdain like, you just
I can't believe you.
jinxed it.
Can't believe you've done
I
this.
can't believe you just jinxed it. So the guy that we were sitting by, if you guys don't know this, like a lot of ballparks, you can buy balls that they use in the game. You can also buy bases. This is my base, unfortunately, but the guy that was sitting next to us let me take a picture with it. So that was
Shout out
pretty
that
cool
guy.
that I had that experience and everything. So yeah, and the Cubs are continuing to kick butt and take names with All-Star Weekend coming up pretty soon. Let's go. Cubs
pretty
World
cool.
Series, baby.
Cubs World Series, baby. Hey, you never know. They're having a good year. You continue on in baseball like that. It makes me sit here and think about, I'm trying to remember what the best piece of like actual game memorabilia that I've been able to hold is when it comes to baseball, because I think I've told you this story about Andre Ethier. I got a game ball from him before. A base, I don't think I've ever been able to hold the base, like an official base, in-game base, which...
That stuff's heavy.
No, dude, they like switch it out and whatever, and I always have so much respect for the grounds crew because what the heck. I'm trying to, like, maybe a uniform I've been able to hold before because I've gotten to meet a couple of players like that, but I don't know. A base is up there. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be able to actually handle a piece of equipment like that.
Yeah, so Cubs currently 4 games ahead of the Brewers in the NL Central. They have, so this is kind of the full circle moment. Just real quick, please, everyone entertain my Cubs fandom for just a second because I need to just share this full circle moment with everybody. So my first Cubs game that I attended in 2014 at Wrigley, it was when Javi Baez was actually that was his rookie season. He had just gotten called up that year, and he was one of the top prospects and everything. And he played in that game. He wasn't in the official like starting lineup, but 40-man roster and got some playing time in that game. And he was kind of one of the first ones. I was like, oh, this guy is going to be so good, yada, yada, yada. Starlin Castro was on that team, Anthony Rizzo.
Yankee greats.
Yeah, I know. That was like Starlin Castro was, again, one of the first guys that I saw in person. And I'm like, oh, I was so bummed. But yeah, just they all went to go play for the
Every single
Yankees.
one.
So I was like, you know what? At least they ended up in a good franchise. But Javi Baez, he was also one of the, I guess, the last ones to kind of be sent off in their merry way of the World Series team. I guess maybe David Ross as a manager, and then Craig Counsell comes in, and that whole thing is history. Shout out Craig Counsell, because I was not familiar with your game of managing games. So this is why I don't
Bro
pick
is
manager. He's good or what, right? Like the Cubs, and I didn't have a lot of faith towards the ending of last season because they did kind of bomb at the end of the season. So I did not know what was going on. But this year has just been so fun to watch. And okay, going back to Javi Baez. So Javi Baez was part of a trade with the Mets, and that's how they got Crow Armstrong, who, I mean, this
Mr.
kid,
Pete.
he's pretty good on offense, and he's pretty darn good on defense, hence why he is an all-star. But both guys, both Javi Baez and Crow Armstrong, are actually starting for their respective, or representing and starting in the all-star game, representing their respective teams. Javi Baez now with the Detroit Tigers. So it is kind of the new turning of the page, and I think I'm fine now that I can see this team in person, because my kind of like how I keep bringing up Cole Anthony when we talk about the Magic, right? Like your heart is just with certain players. I mean, they
That's
won
part
the
of
World Series. They broke the curse
It's
and
part of
won
the
the World
fun of
Series.
fandom.
Yeah, and then so now I'm like, all right, this is the turning of the page that I needed to see, because I was just the taste in my mouth for the Cubs for a while after that World Series, and they let every single player on that team walk away and go other places, firing Joe Madden, all of that stuff, and then tried to bring back David Ross as the manager, and that didn't work out very well. And then, like I said, got Craig Counsell there from Milwaukee. I know other teams must be very disappointed now seeing that he's able to find it, because who wasn't? I think the Mets were in the running for Craig Counsell
That
when
would
the
be
Brewers
correct.
didn't renew him, and there was another team. So, shout out
Shame.
Cubs. Shout out
Shame.
Cubs.
Oh man, what a nice time to have a good
So,
baseball team.
Best game I've ever seen in person, especially after not seeing them win very often. I think before Friday, I only saw them win one other time. And I only know this because I am a nerd like everybody else, and I video the ending and video myself singing the winning song when they win. And I only have one other video of that of myself. So
It's like half the
and
point
I've
of
been
going.
to like 7 Cubs games. So
We're getting the win
it's
percentage
totally-
up. Push the record
I am
closer
okay.
to 500.
I am okay with taking some of the juju away from the Dodgers because this season has gone two different directions from when they opened up the season against each other in Japan, and the Cubs are like figuring things now. The Dodgers are on top of their division as well.
Right,
I don't
it's
want to
not like they're
mistake
bad.
that. But I mean, they did not have a very good showing the last few days as
They're
well.
also
so.
not as good as you'd expect them to be with their
Exactly.
superstar laden team. I say, as the Yankees have lost like 7 of their last 8 as well, but they suck. So
I was like, Cubs doing it for cheap for now. Let's go.
yeah, I was gonna say for now until you got to re-sign Kyle Tucker.
Well, I'm rooting for the Cubs, too, because I don't think your Bears are gonna do good this season.
Oh,
so I
daggers.
want to see the Cubs have success.
How's Michael
for you.
with the backhanded compliment?
That's just a teaser for when we do our off the rip NFL predictions from Kuz later in the show.
I love that though. I love that backhanded compliment. Like I'm cheering for the Cubs because the Bears.
He always finds a way.
He does, doesn't he?
It's a talent at this point.
All right, that's enough of the Cubs. I won't bore you anymore with that. When we come back, like we mentioned earlier, our Michael Liscaro last week Friday, he was doing the hard work and covering the 5th annual Chace Numata Senior All-Star game at the Les Murakami Stadium. During that day, again, you can go to hawaiisportsradio.com and check out the full recap and photo gallery of what you may have missed of Friday's game. But when we come back, we'll hear from a couple of the guys that played in that game and have Michael just tell us some of the details that we may have missed. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
.1 FM and AM 760.
Just move it on. Forget everything that you thought you knew.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful
Good there.
people. Oh my gosh. I'm slowly getting back into shape, people. There we go. This is the voice needs to work a little bit better. To all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people, it's Wake Up in the Den, Kule Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Liscaro. Yes, I am back, and we are streaming live on our YouTube channel. So hello to everyone tuning in, and be sure you guys like and subscribe. Also, shout out to Karen. She was able to meet Paul. She said you guys did a great job, and she got to meet you at the men's basketball practice one day. Very huge supporters, her and Stacy, of not just men's basketball, but pretty much every single UH sport. I think I'm actively at a lot of the different sports. They are as well. So shout out to Karen and Stacy. And I'm glad you guys finally got to meet them because I know she's chimed in to ask you questions about the men's basketball team. But that was cool that you guys got to link up for a little bit.
It was really nice to be able to put a face to the name because I had heard it before. You and I had chatted. She is an avid texter. She is awesome when it comes to pushing our conversation. But I don't get out in public enough outside of just like the games where I don't get a chance to meet the beautiful people. So it was actually nice to get to meet Karen, Stacy. We got to, watch the practice together. They got to watch me hit my head off the fire extinguisher thing or the fire alarm thing like 4 or 5 times. It was great. Yeah, no, I continued to like lean back because we were sitting right next to the wall, and you know how the fire alarm, it has like a cage around the outside to protect it and whatnot. Well, my incredibly intelligent self continued to lean backwards as I tried to watch, continuing to forget that cage was there. So I'd go bonk and I'd hit it over and over again. And the first few times it was funny. After the last few, I was starting to hide it to make sure that they didn't think that I was just an insane idiot. But it was very, very funny in the moment. Oh, God. Shout out to the men's basketball team, though. We'll talk about them at some point during the summer now that you're back.
I'm actually planning to go to a practice today, I think.
Love that.
There's something going on this afternoon, so I think I'm going to go check out the team. I saw Tanner Cuff post, like, some photos on his Instagram of them all being out like on the North Shore and at the temple and everything. So that was pretty cool. So I'm excited to see how this team looks because I haven't gotten a chance to see them in person at all yet. And like you said, we can kind of talk about them a little later. But want to go back to our baseball conversation as Michael last Friday was covering the 5th annual Chace Numata Senior All-Star game. And what a game that it had. The Aloha Stars, which are comprised of the ILH and Big Island players, taking on the Hawaiian Stars, which consists of the OIA, Maui, and Kauai. So the Aloha Stars rallied from a 6-0 deficit to win in extra innings 9-8 over the Hawaiian Stars. And what a game to be out there, Michael. But before we get to hearing some of the players that played in that game, including the MVP pitcher in Greyson Osbun, tell us a little bit about just what your thoughts and seeing some of those players out there for one last time.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. I think when I was about, because it was 0-0 for the first 2.5 innings, and then Team Hawaiian scored 5, and I was like, oh, this is probably it. And I had considered leaving because I'm like, this is a holiday, guys. Because obviously last time when we covered the game, there was more of us, but there's just one of me. I was like, but it ended up being a good game. I mean, like it was last year with the ILH Big Island team. They were trailing last year too, and they rallied to take the lead. I think Legend Lancaster had that walk-off that Paul had a good call on. So I was like, I'm just going to stick around and check it out. And I mean, I think one thing that got me was the home-to-home dash that happened like a third inning where the fastest players were trying to run from home around the bases. I was like, okay, well, that was actually not that bad. And then they changed the pitcher. Every pitcher's like slated to pitch 1 inning. So it's like, okay, well, that's a new player. I was like, oh, I'm going to get some photos of at least it's a new player. And then they had the pop-up time and the pop-up challenge. And it's like, oh, this is kind of getting good, right? I think because I think it's in the 5th inning when Team Aloha, the team that won, finally got some runs. Like, okay, well, it's starting to get a little bit exciting, right? And it's kind of interesting, too, because you can kind of see like the depth of the pitching because like the OI, like the top OI guys, they're just shredding through it, right? Mm-hmm. But then that middle innings when the ILH depth, you can kind of see where it's not the best. But the thing is, like, then you get to the later innings, and then now it's the OI's pitchers aren't as strong as the ILH like third set of pitchers. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of, and then of course, Team ILH, the ILH and the Big Island team, they had Greyson Osbun, who wasn't even supposed to pitch because Nevada is trying to rest his arm. And he comes in for the bottom 9. I was like, oh, they're going to win because this is a top 3 pitcher in the state, if not top 2. He'll give me the top 1, depending on what day. But yeah, he's probably going to be ILH pitcher of the year. Yeah, we're going to see him a lot not next year, but in the coming years, because Nevada is a Mountain West team. Hawaii is going to be. So I was like, oh yeah, and it's cool. And then, but it was kind of cool for the storylines and scenarios. I think we're going to hear from Nick Nashiwa too from Maui, where it was kind of cool because it was the top of the ninth, and Team Hawaiian was leading 7-6, and there were runners on the corners, and there was no outs, so they gotta pop out, and then there was I think the catcher from Kamehameha Maui, Duke Aloy, tried to catch the runner from first stealing. The throw was a little bit off, so they didn't catch the runner stealing, but the runner on third also was stealing, so it was a 2-4-2 out at home plate, and that was like the penultimate out to potentially preserve the 7-6 lead. And that was just cool that Maui to Maui connection. I do ask Nick about that. So yeah, and it's kind of cool just watching some of these players, learning who's going where. I think Kai Hirayama, I don't know if it's been reported, but I believe he's going to Jessup. So we'll see him on some of the Pac West broadcasts, and yeah, it's hopefully next year we can do something more fun. Hopefully with our team, because I think more so it's just the individual storylines. Seeing the neighbor island kids, that was kind of cool. Kapono Sullivan he came in there in the third inning from Kauai, and he just was throwing gas, and I was like, I was texting some coaches. I won't say which school and what university, but I was like, hey,
It was me. He was texting me.
check out this Kapono Sullivan kid, because he's throwing gas. He's been the best arm I've seen so far, and so it's a fun game. I really hope that they can grow it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe someone wants to sell, I don't know, if maybe not have the Sodexo concession stand opens, but maybe if somebody wants to provide I don't know, maybe just something in the stands, sell spam musubi or whatever. I mean, I don't know what the proper protocol is for that, but it's a fun time, and I just love that the kids are wearing their school uniform or their school colors. Because, I mean, I know that's something that we want to see in the NBA, in the All-Star game. Because sometimes some of these, All-Star games uniform is, really...
Horrible.
Horrible.
I'll
ugly.
say it. I'll say it for you.
But, yeah, so it was cool to see them all in their school colors. And they have the Live Like Numi hats on most of them when they're playing defense. And, yeah, just a great time. I think it was the 5th year, so next year will be 6th. And hopefully it's at Les Murakami Stadium again. And...
It is actually.
Yeah.
So good thing I got a chance to talk to Eric Tokunaga, former coach at Farrington, former UH.
Former UH All-Star.
Yeah, former
standout.
UH. He's doing things for the community, as pretty much spearheading the Chace Numata Senior All-Star game. And he actually told me, because he had reached out for us to do the game again, and since we didn't know the date,
people wanted to go on vacation.
Hey, it was already planned. They were already planned, and that's why I felt bad, because I'm like, if I knew, and I told him, I was like, okay, if you have a date for next year, or kind of
we'll lock it in.
Where it will maybe
I'll be gone for 3 weeks.
or I'll just push the 3 weeks up part. But save the date, because Tokes told me it will likely be on 4th of July once again, because it is a Saturday. Okay. It's a Saturday, 4th of July, the day game again at Les Murakami Stadium, because shout out to all of the sponsors. He said they were able to secure funding to confirm that it'll happen next year.
Ooh,
so
shout out the sponsors.
I do like
That's
the
awesome.
day game. I do like the day game.
So there will be
that,
the All-Star game next year, because they secured the funding from their respective sponsors, and we will be there to live stream it, because now that we have a date, we can kind of set all of that stuff up. But we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation and actually let you guys hear, Michael had mentioned, hear from Greyson Osbun and Nick Nashiwa and what they had to say following that game. So we'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani, Paul Bracht, and Michael Lascaro on this Aloha Monday on 95.1 FM, AM 760, and streaming live on our YouTube channel like we do this in every single Monday. You can also text us at 808-888-KG1. That works. That's 808-888-5481. And also, I see our live chat going on YouTube. We'll definitely get into some of that coming up in hour number 2, including I see someone kind of talking about the college football 26 game, and that's an interesting conversation to get into. We'll also talk some UH football coming up in hour number 2. So hang tight, and we will get into all of that stuff. But I did want to wrap up our conversation on the 5th annual Chace Numata Senior All-Star game that happened on Friday. And again, it is in remembrance of Chace Numata, who passed away due to a skateboarding accident and the injuries he suffered at the age of 27 while he was playing in the Detroit Tigers organization. Here we go. We're mixing in the football and the baseball now, but
Perfect.
Detroit Tigers organization. So this tournament was put together now in his memory, and that's why Michael had mentioned in the previous segment where the hats that the players are wearing, they say "Live Like New Me," and that's the hashtag that they have, and the saying and everything with the logo for Chace Numata.
I do have one thing I want to say because I know we're going to we're going to get into Greyson Osbun as the MVP. But before you even had a chance to go on there, we mentioned, but if we remember a couple years back, the World Baseball Classic, there was that moment where I think it was Shohei versus Mike Trout. So there was a similar situation for in the 9th inning, the top of the 9th, because this is kind of a little jab at Mililani, but so they were down to their last out, right? And I think there were runners on first and second, again, there's 2 runners on bases. So up to bat was Team Aloha, which is the ILH and the Big Island All-Stars. So up to bat was Waiakea's Ivor Brooks. So on the mound was Mililani's Caleb Wada, who actually had the go-ahead RBI in the bottom of the 8th to take them 7. But the thing is, Mililani's Caleb Wada, where was he last year? Waiakea. So, but like, of course, like they're on opposite sides, but that was just kind of cool. Like, the former Waiakea player going against the Waiakea player for that, that last out. They're down to the last out. It was a fielder's choice, and they loaded the bases, so I didn't really write about it too much. But I do wanted to. I was like, this for the Big Island fans, like that was cool. Where you had this guy from Waiakea on the mound facing his former Waiakea teammate at the plate. So that was a cool moment.
And let's be honest, that moment, or the Shohei Mike Trout moment, got nothing on that moment. Let's just call a spade a spade. They got nothing on that Chace Numata All-Star game moment. Like, come on. Like,
they wish that
they wish it was that much of a build-up and that much that was
It
in
was
there.
the precursor. It was the appetizer,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the French term, something bouche. Amuse-bouche for that.
I'm not going to do that to the Angels fans because I do know at least one person expressed their sadness that the Angels are no longer on our airwaves.
Oh,
I know. It's okay. We got the Mariners.
I was gonna make fun of the Angels fan that I know.
I was like, wait,
it wasn't that fan.
That's why I didn't, because your mention of it made it seem it wasn't that.
I was about to make
we
fun
can make
of
fun
it.
of Alan Mio all we want.
Okay,
it wasn't Alan Mio.
Anyways,
I was gonna
He's
say.
not that important.
Going back again, as Michael was just mentioning, the pitching and the MVP of that game was Kamehameha Kapalama pitcher Greyson Osbun for the Aloha Stars. So this is what he had to say following that game, talking to Michael and Stacey Kaneshiro of Scoring Live.
I was not expecting to pitch today. Just in my progression, I'm just not there yet to throw off the mound. It's just what Nevada has me doing. So, but they had my name penciled in, so I was like, all right, I'll get an inning, And then, we tied up the game, which is nice. And I was like, might as well, right? Go out again. And
it felt good throwing the 2 innings because that's more than
Yeah, I felt good. I think adrenaline really kicked in, especially towards the end. Just having an opportunity to win this game. So I think tomorrow I'll probably feel it a little more. So we'll see. But yeah.
So you're going to Nevada.
Yes.
We have you as a pitcher.
Yes, that as a pitcher.
Right. Okay.
You were recovered from injury, right? What was that injury?
I'm not.
Oh, you just didn't want to throw too much today.
Yeah, I shut down after the season ended, just to let the arm recover and just feel a little better. And then I think like 3 weeks after season ended, I started getting back up and going, and kind of been just ramping up. And it's been super light, so this is like the real most intense I've had in a while.
And then you got a chance to win a state title sophomore year.
Yep.
Junior year and senior year kind of came up short, but just to kind of wrap up your high school career with this moment, what does it mean to you?
It's amazing. I've known Coach Homie for a really long time now. He coached me when I was in youth ages. So to get a chance to honor his son and play in this game is huge, and I'm super honored and humbled to be here today.
And again, that was, I guess, former now Kamehameha Schools Kapalama pitcher Greyson Osbun, as we mentioned earlier, committed and going to Nevada to join former mid-pack player Peyton Dixon and Sean Yamaguchi out of St. Louis. And also, obviously, we know him from the Little League World Series.
Had a good year this year.
Oh, yeah. Just
a
pretty good year there for Sean Yamaguchi out at Nevada. So another player, and as Michael mentioned, I mean, Hawaii's going to be seeing them very soon, as this is the final year of wrapping up baseball in the Big West, and next season as it will be into the Mountain West. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting ride this next season, heading into the first season as a full-time member in the Mountain West. But also someone that Michael had a chance to catch up with, along with Stacey Kaneshiro, is a 5-tool player, Nick Nashiwa, for the Hawaiian Stars out of Maui High. Yes, shout out Maui, Caesar. There you go, Maui High boy there. He is going to Golden West College in Huntington Beach, California. But this is what he had to tell Michael and Stacey following that game on Friday.
How do you feel to win the pop time contest?
I was pretty surprised because I wasn't really throwing that much, and then I was just gonna go see what happens, and have some fun, just since I'm only here for the day. And
Yeah, because you weren't originally penciled in to do that.
Yeah, so I'm a catcher and then infield, outfield, utility, but I don't know. I was just playing right field and playing second base today, but Duke Aloy, he let me catch one inning, and then I just wanted to go see how it went out there.
How much did you catch during the regular season?
During the regular season, I caught pretty much every game. So we played 3-game series, right? And then I would catch the Thursday, Friday game and play infield the Saturday game. So pretty much the whole season like that.
You were one of the later ones to kind of pop up. So what did you kind of take watching them? Because it seems like the first ones were kind of nervous a bit.
Yeah, so my whole thing was I was just trying to keep the ball low and maybe try to skip it. But I guess mine was it was better than how I was feeling. So I was able to get some good throws off, and yeah.
And then I think in that top of the 7, you guys almost got out. Or top of the 9, excuse me.
Yeah.
You guys almost got it. You had some nice plays.
Yeah.
Talk about, because you had a pop up to second, and then talk about, I think Duke threw it to you at second, and you threw it to home, and you guys got the second out. Talk about that Maui connection.
I always know that Duke got me with a good throw at second base, so I wasn't too worried. But when I had to dive for that ball, I was kind of like, oh, I know he's gonna run, because Trey is an aggressive runner, and then I didn't really think. I just got up and threw it, and I knew that Duke had my back with a good tag on the other end. So I just had that faith in him that he would, put a good tag and get him out.
And then last year, you guys were co-state champions, right?
Yes.
Didn't get a chance to play in states this year, but didn't get the win today, but you got a couple of hardware, a couple of player of the game awards. Just kind of talk about the opportunity to play in this game, and just kind of, especially it's named after Chace Numata, right? And then you won the pop-up. Just talk about this opportunity.
It's a real blessing to be out here and playing with these guys. Everybody here is super talented, so I just try to come out here and have fun. Just do me, and whatever happens. But I'm just super grateful for every opportunity that I get, and every opportunity to come play baseball somewhere.
And that was Nick Nashiwa out of Maui High following the 5th annual Chace Numata Senior All-Star Game. Again, Michael Esquero did a phenomenal recap, as always, with his photos that you can check out at hawaiisportsradio.com. But we're going to step aside. We'll be back for hour number 2 and get into a lot of UH athletics conversations. Want to go back to Paul and Michael's conversation with new AD Matt Elliott and get into some UH football recruiting news or commitment news and talk a little bit about the CFB 26 that our YouTube commenter had mentioned as well. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den, hour number 2. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani alongside Paul Brackton, Michael Escaro, and yes, if you're just tuning in, I am back from vacation, and I was so ready to be back, and I missed you guys. If you guys missed hour number 1, clearly my voice and my throat needs to get back into talking shape for as long as we do for the couple of hours, because I was already like coughing through things and my throat was getting dry within like the first 20 minutes of the show. But it has been okay so far, and I am surviving so far without any coffee. This is a coffee mug with no coffee and just water in it. So we are still going good. But coming up in hour number 2, want to get into the conversation that Paul and Michael had with new AD Matt Elliott in just a little bit. Also, kind of got a fun little comment here on our YouTube thread. If you guys want to comment there, or you can text us at 808-888-KG1, 808-888-5481, talking about Hawaii being in the college football 26 game and all of that stuff. So we'll get into that. Some NBA news that happened as well. So a lot, luckily, like we always say, we got 2 hours to talk about this stuff. So thank you guys for tuning in this and every weekday Monday on our YouTube channel and every single weekday morning from 8 to 10. So guys, I was able to pretty much tune in for majority of your conversation with Matt Elliott. And props to you. Got some text messages. Some people texted me that they very much enjoyed your extensive chat with the new headman at UH, mainly because they got to kind of see the personal side of him a little bit, right? Like we kind of like to do that when we have in-studio guests, learn a little bit about their background. I had texted you. Well, I talked to you the day before and you asked like what things I want to know from Matt Elliott. Obviously, a lot of the pressing questions went exactly how I thought it would, and there wasn't really going to be much answers for a lot of the stuff just
Gotta
yet.
try, though.
We got to try. You got to ask the questions, even though we're not anticipating that we were going to get the answers on his second day on the job. But it was fun hearing some of the background of. I did chuckle because it was one of my questions, and I'm pretty sure it was already on the docket that you guys had. You know, I got my little girly side, so I want to hear the love story as he was out here. To just be out here for a year under Judge K and all of that. And I got a real chuckle when he kind of mentioned that he's like, yeah, you know, when you get into a relationship, you don't get into one when you know you're going to leave. And
yeah.
So his wife, Allison, though, when you know, and they were able to do it. He never thought, and she never thought she was going to move all the way to the East Coast, which was also kind of funny to
Heard
chuckle
something
at.
like that before.
And you know what? They are still together and have their young son that they wanted to raise here. So I thought, again, shout out to you guys for having Matt in here. And other people texting me that they very much enjoyed the detailed background conversation about knowing about him. Because, again, I think everybody else was pretty understandable about the fact that we couldn't really get all of the answers to some of the burning questions that we have.
I mean, we tried.
We just got to, have another little interview maybe after he's been on the job for a month. That's kind of why I waited.
Yeah.
The first, I think we didn't interview Craig Angeles until maybe like 3 months after he's been on the job, because that was my thought process. Like, well, he's not really going to be able to answer too many questions because he's just getting here. So
he's getting caught up.
We'll circle back in a few months with Matt Elliott and hopefully get some answers for some of the pressing actual athletics questions that everybody's curious about.
Well, you mentioned him asking, because we wanted to ask that about Allison, but I did ask him off air. Do you remember what restaurant it was? Because I know he wasn't trying to get in trouble, but he did. So I just think that shows his memory recall, and how intelligent he is. But yeah, it was kind of cool. I mean, I didn't really talk to Matt on air, because mostly Paul. But Paul was, getting showing, hey, there's a fellow East Coaster here on the islands. It's not just local.
Good. It was
and
good time.
He was able to kind of get into his back history. But one of the things that I kind of picked up on was that, when he says he expects to win championships, he means it, right? Because he said he grew up a Boston Celtics fan, and he was used to watching Larry Bird and those players win championships in that era. And then he was at UCLA, where they are, I think, if you're not counting FBS championships, I think they're only second to Stanford in terms of national championships, like across all sports.
That sounds about right.
So I do want to kind of piece together what national championships was actually won while he's employed by UCLA, and that's just something that we're gonna see. He always says that he always wanted to get into education and the student athletics. That's best way to get into it. So, or that's the vehicle that he's going to get into it. But so the two things is championships are a real expectation of his, and the second is he's gonna figure it out, right? Just like you mentioned with his wife Allison about not wanting to go to the East Coast. He just said that, hey, we're just gonna figure it out. And then when she wanted to come back home, that's another thing that he figured out. They figured out as a family, and I think that's going to translate to the university, because he was, I think, with UCLA from like 2002 or not 2022 2024. But I believe in 2022, all those years after that, we're all working remotely from here in Hawaii. And after his time with UCLA was done, he was able to get a job with Hawaii Community Foundation, and they love him over there. And so, yeah, that's two things: championships, and he's gonna figure it out. He just, like I said, he needs to have all the data in front of him and check out those avenues.
I thought he was very measured in our conversation, and just in all the conversations I've heard with him. And I don't mean that in like a robotic way. I don't mean that in like a he's boring type of way. I just mean it seems that every answer is very thought through, even ones where he doesn't have the ability to give you more information. He does have the ability to at least make you feel pretty good about the situation. And I do appreciate that. Obviously, there's much more to a job than just being able to talk nicely. But I thought that he's kind of, to echo Michael's point, he's a very intelligent individual. He's somebody that clearly has a plan, has the ability to adjust the plan, and has the ability to work in some not so usual circumstances, right? Where he's gone through many different roles. He's held many different jobs. And that was something that I drew from our conversation, that he doesn't hesitate when it comes to pulling from those previous experiences and building on top of them as he pushes forward in whatever juncture or venture that he's going through. So it was a very fun conversation. He was very gracious in opening up and sharing some of his background, which was nice. He and I did joke a little bit about our similarities between our love story, though off air, because we didn't want to, bore anybody too much. And no, it was a really nice time. Really appreciate the fact that he sat down for an hour with us, which I do not take for granted either, because like you mentioned, early on in his job, a lot of these days are built or will be spent talking to people and trying to get caught up on all of the different situations that he needs to be aware of. So I really do appreciate the time that he took.
That was a big reason why I had texted you guys. I'm like, try to get him in studio if you guys can, because I can imagine once, the media tour essentially is over, it's going to be hard to kind of get these types of extensive interviews until, like I said, 3, 4, maybe 5 months after football season even wraps, because there's so much going on with the change in college athletics that I was like, hey, have at it, you guys. Get him in studio so we can get that one interview before essentially think he's going to be locked down and locked in the office to try to, like Michael said, figure things out in this new era. I did appreciate, and I kind of hearing him echo the sentiment that I think I've mentioned multiple times, including the times when I crashed out towards the end of the year, about just, the expectation of the branding of Hawaii. Like he had mentioned that Hawaii needs to be that bigger brand. Like Hawaii is special. Like Hawaii's brand needs to stand out more than it has been lately. And there are different ways to do that and to figure things out. But Hawaii as a brand, like when I looked at some of the graphics that got posted on social media of the new Pac-12 and the new look Mountain West, I'm like, if all things were equal on both, like when we're just talking about branding, like Hawaii is by far top 5, right? Like if every single team on both conferences were good at football, for example, Hawaii is up there. Like, they'd probably be a more popular team to follow than Boise State if they were the same type of greatness in their football program. You know what I mean? So
With
it's like
love and respect to Boise,
like,
not a lot of
come
it.
on. And this is I think we're still being objective when we say that. Like I will admit when I'm going to be like biased or do the homer pick, but it's freaking Hawaii. Like, come on now.
Right. That's the fact of the matter, is that it's Hawaii, the H, the top of H, and it's all of that where you look at it and it is an iconic brand. It's not that of UCLA. It's not that of USC. But man, of West Coast schools, it definitely feels in that next tier just below, I guess. And that's only because it's on an island out in the middle of wherever. Like, it's not because it is not iconic. It's not this brand. Because we've seen before, when success comes, man, the U.S., the continent, everybody loves Hawaii.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned not USC, UCLA, but then when I think of, like, say, it's not, if you're putting up against the little sisters in the Washington and Oregon states,
You'll notice
we're the bigger brand than them.
You'll notice I didn't put them in there.
We might be lower than Oregon and UW, but if we're comparing ourselves to Oregon State and Washington State, Hawaii is definitely more of an iconic brand than those two. So I did like hearing him say that. I forget what exactly the question was, but to hear him talk about that, and I appreciated it because it's exactly how I feel. And just like kind of that brings us to what this chatter said in our YouTube chat about the CFB 26 game and saying just wanting to continue to grow our image out there. And he also heard that the teams that are played the most in the game get paid more. But that's kind of the good thing with CFB. There's also like a guy, I forget his handle on social media on Twitter, but I guess he plays a lot of CFB.
You're talking about Bordeaux.
26, and he said he's like, but there's one guy and it gets a lot of traction on Twitter anyways that
we're in his top 5 right now.
That he wants to take into the national championship in CFB 26. So it's stuff like that, and that's what I mean. Like, someone like that wouldn't just pick some random, like, they're not going to pick, I don't know, New Mexico to they're not going to pick that. They want to pick Hawaii.
He's gone through all of the like things, and Hawaii very much so stuck out in the process, and he's done that. There are 2 spots left in his top 5, and like Hawaii was comfortably into the top 5. That's the thing when we're talking about branding. It really is up there, and it is cool. By the way, we will talk about that a little bit more, or we can talk about that a little bit more, because I did look it up where there is that incentive. If you do play this school more, they do get a little extra benefit. Also, I like to hear that they're getting more money. The players got more money this year, more than double than what they got last year. So pretty cool. Upgrades, people, upgrades.
I forgot what I was going to say, but I do want to say
with
Matt Elliott is that with the Hawaii being its brand, it's that the state needs Hawaii athletics to be good. It's kind of like the rising tide lifts all boats, and that's kind of the way I think Matt Elliott is going to bring for the program and for the state. And the fact that, shout out to President Wendy Hensel, because she, wanted to find someone that was a partner for her. And it seems like Matt Elliott is going to be a good fit for that partnership. I know us on our show, we are, friends of Craig Angeles, and you kind of wish he it's true, he got done dirty. But we gotta press forward, and Wendy Hensel deserves some credit. I mean, she didn't have anything to do with Craig being fired, but she deserves some credit for this, because yes, the finalists did meet with the governor, with the mayor, which is for a lot of us local people, we're like, oh, is this so true? We're just gonna get the player, the person that they want, right? But from every indication we get is that he's someone that makes the governor feel good. He's someone that makes the mayor feel good. And you need all those parties in harmony for us to be successful. I think a lot of times, too, is that sometimes the state, people in high positions have just an ego, right? I mean, we've seen it in the past with the legislature with UH, right? Where it seems like people are anti Donna Mercado Kim and those group. And then now it's like, now the athletics department, there has to be something. And I think Matt Elliott is going to be a good collaborator with all parties that we need for this state and for this program to be successful. Yeah,
he also seems like a good dude, right? Like, and I know that doesn't lead to meaning that he's going to do this phenomenal job, but it's a good start that like still. You have a person in that position of power that you trust. Like, you have to have someone, especially somewhere like Hawaii. And then I mentioned this term before, like being culturally sensitive. Obviously, he has that Hawaii tie directly with his wife and is familiar and has been familiar with the culture out here in Hawaii. So I did, like I said, to echo some of the texts that I got after you guys had talked to him, very much like, good job, you guys, with the interview there.
Shout out to, talking about your good president, shout out to the research department that was finding some dirt on some of the other finalists.
This guy, I'm like, he kills me. First, one segment, he's like, we got to move on and push forward. Wait, let me go back and mention about like the old finalists that we're just saying here. Like, what are we doing here, Michael?
Exactly.
What are we doing here?
I have an ego.
That's fair.
Oh,
That's
God.
fair. As long as you admit it, I get it. It's fair. I'm all about if you admit it.
Hey, credit's where credit is due,
Yeah.
of course.
But again, to go back to the CFB stuff and just the branding of Hawaii, I do like that our cute little stadium. Again, she's ours. Like she's kind of like the sibling or that friend that you can pick on and you can say whatever you want about. But as soon as someone else, an outsider, says anything about my sibling or something, like I will fight you
We're swinging.
to the death.
It
So
is on site.
we can talk about and we want to build a new stadium, but for now we have our cute little. She's doing the job that she can do for us at the Clarence T.C. Ching Athletics Complex, and she is finally in the game, thank goodness. And Hawaii fans can see that. We saw some first looks on social media. Also, the coaches are in there, including head coach for Hawaii, Timmy Chang. So all of that stuff, looking forward to it, and will help get the brand out there. And I think also what will help in the future when Hawaii gets whatever the deal is going to get for the Mountain West contract. Financially, we have no idea. There's been all kinds of numbers thrown out there for the media rights deals with the Mountain West, and there's been some smear campaign by the Pac-12, some Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively type of situation going on, I guess, with the Pac-12 trying to smear the Mountain West. I don't know. It's kind of
You
weird.
just want to get Taylor Swift in there.
No.
Taylor Swift is involved in that, though.
Did I just mention it? Look,
He
Michael's
brought up Taylor Swift. He's the Taylor Swift fan. Folks.
But no, we have no idea. We have no idea what the financial implications will be. But I think it will bode well in terms of branding because there might be more accessibility to a lot of these games that for other people, including those in the islands. I think that's the hopeful. Fans can be hopeful here in Hawaii that they will be able to have access to these football games, right? Because I think that has kind of hurt a little bit with almost somewhat being priced out in a way from watching some of these football games, even if it was delayed on a publicly accessible network or something, or streaming service would have been nice. But we'll see what the future holds. And hey, there we go. We got the guy in charge with Matt Elliott that is hopefully set to figure it out. But speaking of football, we're going to take a break and we'll be back to tell you about a recent commitment announcement to the University of Hawaii football team and kind of take a look at some of the other ones coming in. And just there was I think that same guy kind of predicted the win total for the Hawaii football team, which his win total that he put here, actually, at least via DraftKings, it's kind of teetering on that win total line. So we'll let you know about what Hawaii's current win total is via DraftKings and some of the other schools in the Mountain West when we come back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
The USDA Forester and the Ad Council.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back. Ku'ulei, Paul, and Michael with you guys on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel like we do every single Monday. Thank you guys for tuning in, though, every single weekday from 8 to 10, and we appreciate you all. But you can text us if you want to get in on the conversation at 808-888-KGU1, 808-888-5481, or you can chime in on the live YouTube chat. So as always, a shout out to our regular viewer and Caesar, also Mama Heather always tuning in, and she kind of left a comment saying welcome back and shouting out the STEM girlies, and Let's Go Bows, who I don't know if who had chimed in when you guys were on YouTube, but that seems like a newer one to me, or not a regular one.
I believe it is a new face.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool that we got a new person here in the live chat, and we encourage you guys to tune in. But we're going to keep with our Hawaii Athletics conversation. Before we get into football, though, I wanted to make note, because this just came out via the University of Hawaii, that Danny Alvarez has been selected as the head coach of the University of Hawaii beach volleyball program, as it was announced by new UH Athletics Director Matt Elliott. Alvarez is the 5th head coach in the program's history and returns to Manoa after previously serving as a UH assistant coach for nearly a decade. Saying, quotes, or Matt Elliott saying, quote, "We are thrilled to welcome Coach Danny back to the UH Ohana. He helped build UH Beach Volleyball from the very start and played a pivotal role in creating a program that competed at the highest level. His love for the sport, his alma mater, and for our student athletes is unquestioned, and I know he'll give his absolute best effort as our new head coach." So we talk about kind of the new future of things and college athletics, and now we got a new beach volleyball head coach. So that's pretty exciting here for the UH.
First hire for Matt Elliott, right?
Technically,
I believe so, yes.
Well, I guess it seems like everybody loves him. I know he does a lot of work with Outrigger, and I think he even trained some of other like Big West team or players in beach volleyball. I saw some players on his Instagram page, so he's definitely well respected amongst the beach volleyball community. And I guess Matt Elliott's first hiring might be an ace.
Hey,
nice little volleyball pun. There. That's a good one.
Let's see. Continuing on a little bit more of the background. So in his first stint at UH, Alvarez was instrumental in building the foundation for the Rainbow Wahine program. He served as an assistant for the Beach Bows from 2012 to 2019, and as well as during the 2023 campaign. So he has some familiarity with the program, and now comes back as the head guy in charge. So of course, we wish you guys wish the team all the best, and wish a new head coach Danny Alvarez all the best in his new role. And as if we couldn't talk about trying to cover more sports here with our little 3-person team, we were trying to pick it up like with the beach volleyball too.
Yeah, we're working on it.
We're just kind of we're like trying to we go here. It's kind of like a little chess game. Like, all right, we got to kind of move this piece here, figure everything out. Everyone's moving all over the place, but yes, hopefully you can have that, maybe a conversation too with Danny Alvarez. So that'll be a fun chat.
I'm sure we can effort getting him on. This is exciting, though. I know this is a program that some fans had been feeling was underachieving over the past couple of seasons, and part of that is because of what they were able to do during Alvarez's first stint. I know it was as an assistant, but during that 2012 to 2019 run, I mean, Hawaii should be up there. Can you name many programs with a better opportunity for beaches than Hawaii? I can't name many. There are a few, but it's definitely up there. It's a guy who has experience with how do I say it? Transferring over the indoor to the outdoor, success for some players as well. And this is a lot of fun. I hope it helps build the program back up. Not that they've been so down that it's over exaggeration of it, but I hope he's able to bring the program up to the level in which I know a lot of fans believe that it can get to, and realistically that I believe that it can get to. So
100%. All right, getting over to our UH football conversation. Hawaii getting the newest commitment that he announced on his social media, commitment from 6'2", 180-pound corner Kydell Stone out of Saguaro, High School in Scottsdale, Arizona. Again, class of 2026. Other offers, at least via 247 Sports, include Nevada, Northern Arizona, UAB, Montana, and Georgia State. Steven Tsai actually posting a little fun fact too: 6'5" wingspan. So again, he's 6'2", but with a 6'5" wingspan, and ran 100 meters in 10.8 seconds.
He's a runner.
That's
He's a
fast,
track
everybody,
star.
in case you don't know. He was in his junior year last season, because yes, he is also, that wasn't just Paul singing, he is actually also a track star there for high school. So Kai Delstone coming in also joins a couple of other recruits out of the state of Arizona in safety Marquise Richardson out of Hamilton High School, and running back TJ Fo'ilefotu out of Liberty High School. So Arizona, we got some Arizona to Hawaii pipeline going on. By the way, also recruiting news, I saw this, and we don't have to get into it because it doesn't have to deal necessarily with Hawaii, but Kalohe Kelly, I know like one of the guys, the lineman that I think Paul mentioned, being like catching your eye, playing out there at Farrington High School, class of 2026, flipped his commitment, if you guys missed it.
Somebody else's eye too.
From Cal to Oregon. So just as we're talking about recruiting, wanted to mention that really, really quick. But Michael...
It's the JKS playbook.
Reverse.
But he did it in like a month instead of like...
Yeah. Getting whiplash already, but I thought that was interesting that came across the timeline. But no, sticking back here with the home team, Michael, because I saw that you also had mentioned about the Nevada pipeline there going on. What do you think
Arizona
about
pipeline.
Nevada? Arizona. Well,
It's okay.
we technically do have a Nevada pipeline going on
got that too, but it's a
this
different
one is the Arizona pipeline. Yes,
It's okay. You're forgiven. You were just in Europe and
yes,
like the
I've been
continent,
awake
so.
since midnight today. So
Salute.
Yeah, this kid is gonna be a steal. He had a shoulder injury that kept him out for most of last season, so he doesn't really have the film on him. Which these are like the type of players that we need to go after, because he definitely is a Power 5, a Power 4. Excuse
watch
me.
your
no,
mouth.
it's okay. Mountain West is in the power.
No, we're not. But yeah, he's gonna be a really solid player for the University of Hawaii. Hopefully, we can keep his commitment. But shout out to Coach Jordan Poole Robinson, who's been recruiting Arizona. A lot of the players that that we got commitments those are players that you definitely need to show love throughout the season, because some Power 4 school might scoop him up. You mentioned Richardson; he definitely has a frame. TJ now, he was kind of at a lower school, but now he's at Liberty, which is an Arizona powerhouse. But yeah, Kydell Stone, no relation to Cam Stone, but
I was gonna say this is an interesting little tie-in at that position.
The last Stone that played for us is was a first team All Mountain West. A little personal fact about this recruit is we are still under Salem, so I guess this is kosher on these airwaves. But I was actually in church when the notification came up, and the coaches were actually DMing me, or some of our coaches were DMing me, because they were really stoked about this. But in church yesterday, we were talking about building a firm foundation. Don't be like the foolish man that built their house on sand. Build your house on rock. Don't be the wise man that builds your house on rock. And we just get a commitment from a guy named Stone. So I thought, I feel good already about this. I feel good about this. If
Preacher Michael
if he
over
pans
here.
out,
Hallelujah.
yeah. But yeah, he's let's see. Saguro was for a long time in Arizona was considered like the St. Louis or Kahuku of the state. They have a lot of players in the alumni in the NFL. Let me see. My Arizona source: DJ Foster, Christian Kirk, Byron Murphy Jr., Kelly Ringo are some players that went Saguro. So Saguro was one of the top teams until about 2023 when former head coach Jason Mons left for Arizona State. So they're not as good as they were in the past. And Saguro actually went 1-9 last year. But that's not to say like he's not a good player, right? But these are definitely like the margins of the margins that we need to be winning. Is where, hey, this guy doesn't have enough film. The Power 4 schools, they're probably not going to want to offer him because it's hard for a position coach to offer these kind of guys. And the team went 1-9. It's like, why are we going to be recruiting this school? So I love it for Hawaii, because these is definitely the type of players that is kind of like that hidden gem where when they come to the program, they're gonna pop off, and that's what I love to see from the program and from the recruiting. So shout out to Coach Jordan Poole Robinson for recruiting in Arizona, establishing that, I guess, Arizona pipeline in the desert, go from the desert to the oasis in Hawaii. And also shout out to new cornerbacks coach PJ Manaya, because he's kind of taking that reins, and with Dennis Thurman giving him taking a step back and just being a DC, PJ Mana, grad assistant, long time, stud in high school, played quarterback at Pacific, I believe, and then just made his ways up the ranks. So we love to see some of these younger coaches being hungry in the recruiting cycle, and that's kind of what you need. You kind of need young coaches to relate to these younger players to get them committed to your program. So A1 for the program. But yeah, it's Kydell Stone. Just what happened yesterday at church. I feel like this is a winner.
And also, just to kind of like add to your point about, I mean, not add to your point on preaching. I can't add to that one. But to build on your point about being able to land this guy that has potential to be able to play in the Power Five, but like. I
forgot. So I think you mentioned some of his offers. I think you had Nevada Reno is one. I think UNLV is also interested, but I think he did take an official to San Jose State before he took an official to Hawaii. So anytime we can get a recruiting win or any kind of win against San Jose State, the fake Hawaii wannabe team, we talk about branding, right? That's a win in our book. So anytime you can get a win over San Jose, whatever it be on the field, recruiting, yeah. But I know like a team.
Hopefully both.
Louisville, it was also kind of interested on him. So just kind of show the type of caliber of player we're getting.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is getting him here and being for him to experience like the culture, the coaching staff firsthand, because there's only so much you can do and talk about on like your official visits and all of this stuff with the coaching. And again, shout out to the coaches that were able to recruit him and get him here. But I feel like once the players are here, and especially when you're playing for someone in like Coach Pu'u Robinson or even with Dennis Thurman, who has that NFL coaching experience, right? Like a lot of our top players that could have and probably did get higher financial offers from other institutions that we've seen, all opted to kind of stay here, right? And then you had some that left and came back and all of that stuff. So there is something special about this UH football program that they can still hold on to a lot of their top players that they have. So I think that is key to at least getting him here. Hopefully he does officially land here and there is nothing that changes between now and next season. So we could see it could change. But I think once he gets here, it becomes harder for you to leave for a lot of these players once they are officially in the football program. And again, to emphasize your point, that just speaks to the volumes of Coach Timmy Chang and all of the staff that they are able to hold on to these top players, considering that we don't have the best facilities, right? Like especially even compared to the Mountain West or now the rebuilt Pac-12. But they have everything else going for them because these players still want to play here and represent the University of Hawaii. So again, follow Michael for a lot of your football recruiting news and everything that comes down. And we are starting to gear back into not only UH football, but high school football. I gotta hunker down now that I'm back. Get you guys our OIA broadcast schedule that is going to start up in August. And
shoot, don't media days are 8
media
days
days
away,
is next week.
Yeah, I think it's a week from tomorrow.
Yeah,
right?
media
The
day is
15th?
next week, Wednesday and Thursday. Our Mountain West media days out there at the Circa Resort and Casino, which there is going to likely be a pretty big announcement that's going to happen that does have somewhat to do with us a little bit. So
heck yeah,
there's a little sprinkle of the tease, but that's happening next week. Timmy Chang, Pafele Ashlock, and Jemai Otis will be representing the University of Hawaii at Mountain West Media Days next week. I am still debating if I'm going to get there. I'm done being on a plane and traveling.
Have fun.
We'll see what happens. Anyways, gonna step aside. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani. I'm back after being gone a few weeks. So excited to be back and chat with you guys. And almost just like riding a bike. I'm trying to just like grooving back into things. And with Michael Lescaro and Paul Breckton, thank you guys again, along with Zorned, for holding down the fort for the last few weeks while I've been gone. And I'm excited to be back and get straight back into the sports season. I think someone commented on my Twitter that I was excited to go back to work. And they said, like, be careful what you wish for. And I'm like, I mean, I always talk about how much I love what we do. So I don't know what I did, unless something completely changes about the things that we do daily, then I don't know. I still continue. I missed hanging out with you guys every morning, even though I missed you guys so much that once I woke up in the middle of the night, I did not go back to sleep since like 12:30 this morning. So that's how much I was excited to be back here on the show, still on European time, 12 hours, 12 hours like behind, even though I had the little gap of going to Chicago for a few days, and just the sleeping pattern is all thrown off, and my stomach is just like continues to think of every single thing. Like wish I could just like stuff like every single thing like that I missed. Like, how do I eat it at the same time? But I have to pick and choose my meals carefully. Like, what am I going to eat next? Like, maybe I got to get some like Portuguese sausage and some eggs and rice or something since it's breakfast time or something. I got to get some Hawaiian food, maybe a lau from somewhere, some beef stew. Oh my gosh, I'm just getting so hungry.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're torturing yourself.
I can't help it. I missed everything, and I specifically was depriving myself, especially once we got to like Chicago, right? There is a lot of, and actually surprisingly in Europe, there's surprisingly a lot of Asian food available. Obviously, I wouldn't really want to get sushi at any of those places, but stuff like ramen, I was like, oh my gosh, I want ramen so bad. Especially once I was back in air conditioning in Chicago out of the heat wave that was Europe. But I just want to eat everything. So we'll see what happens today. Anyways, enough of that. Like Paul said, enough of torturing myself because I don't know why I just did that. But we can get into some NBA conversations as one of the things, as Michael was up pretty early this morning as well and texting us. I was like, that's what I woke up to. I know. That's what but Michael always does that, though. That's kind of like his jam that he will
but then
always.
I don't expect him to actually be in at 8 a.m. He was here. He was ready to go. I was shocked. I thought he was going to miss A block.
So one of the things to come in today.
If I was going to miss A block, I would say.
I know. That's why I was sitting there expecting a text, and we just never ended up getting it. I
also sat on my car a little bit.
Is he okay?
No, because I was like, okay, I'm driving. I'm in the structure, and that's Chaz Ontai's voice. We have an extra 2 minutes. Because normally I've been like,
Chaz is back from
I'm
his.
parking, Paul. I'm like,
today's Chaz's first day back.
Yeah. So there was this. I was like, okay, Chaz is doing the news, so there's gonna be a sports report. So I have an extra 2 minutes. So because normally when Chaz is gone, I was like, I'm parked.
Gotta hustle.
I'm parked. I'm walking in. Like 801 or 802. I'm parked, bro. I'm here.
A+ communication.
Hey, I get it. You got the furthest drive. You're the one coming out here from Waipahu when Paul and I are coming over from town. But some NBA news to break, though, this morning. The Clippers, Jazz, and Heat have agreed to a trade that sends Norman Powell all the way to Miami.
That's sad.
John Collins to L.A. and Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, and a 2027 Clippers second-round pick to Utah, sources told ESPN. So, kicking it over to you, Michael, because this is definitely news that you wanted to share with us first thing in the morning.
Well, I retweeted it, then I undid it, and I was going to quote retweet it, but then it was before 6 a.m., so it's like, I'm not going to be anything crazy. But Norman Powell loves Hawaii, right, Paul? You got to sit next to his parents.
I sat next to his mom at the UCLA game last year.
I just feel bad because, we have Patty Mills now as a GM for men's basketball, but, Norman Powell loved Hawaii, and they just sent him across the nation to Miami, and that just sucks.
Well, there's beaches there.
I was going to say,
I don't know
how many times you'll
Todd
hear
Gurley's not playing anymore.
Sucks to move to Miami. I don't know how many times that sentence will be put together, but I do understand
at least from places if you're living on the continent.
That's what I mean.
But, we're trying to grow the Clippers are apparently in Hawaii, and we are the Clipper station, so we gotta self-plug ourselves. And like, yeah, you can cheer for Norman Powell because he loves Hawaii, but now he's in Miami.
It's all right. John Collins, good player. This is like an actual trade of significance where I looked at it and I was like, oh, there are some decent players moving spots here where I think it can be effective. Like John Collins, one, is not on a small contract. And to be fair, it's not like this massive bloated contract, but it's also, it's one that is workable. He's going to be in the rotation, and he's somebody who can be a lot of fun. He's not Blake Griffin. I'm going to invoke that name only in terms of highlights where he has the ability to just power home dunks like no other. I think that could be a lot of fun for the Clippers. Gets them just a little bit younger as well as a team who just has been continuously aging as a core. Kawhi Leonard obviously not getting any younger. They let PG walk. You have James Harden coming back. So this gets you a little younger, a little more athletic. Norm Powell is a great pickup for Miami. He's a guy who can score the lights out. He is
Defend.
He's just, he can defend. He can add to your basketball team in a lot of ways. So I love the pickup for Miami, who kind of feels in a weird spot right now anyway, with a great coach, some good talent, and then like a mediocre East for next year. I'm not sure what their plan totally is. And then Utah, they get out from underneath the John Collins contract in a year that they're going to continue to try and lose. They get Kevin Love, who I believe is an expiring contract. Love was incredibly funny about it. He couldn't believe that he was in a salary dump at this point of his career, or joked that he couldn't believe it. I'm sure he could absolutely believe that he was in one. And then Slow-Mo is like just a solid player. Kyle Anderson has always been a good NBA basketball player that I'm sure the Jazz in turn can then just flip at the deadline again if they need to. So it's an interesting trade of somewhat significance to come down in the second week of July. So that's fun to see.
Yeah, especially, and as you mentioned, I can echo that sentiment about Norman Powell going over to Miami. That is, kind of like, all right, what are they doing there?
I'm not totally
right?
sure
Like,
the plan,
after Jimmy Butler moved on, it was kind of like, okay, what's going on? And we will always, we are like the Eric Spoelstra like hype wagon. Like we just love him so much as
the
coach.
best coach in the NBA, in my opinion. So
he's one of the longest, or is he now the longest tenured? I know it's like him and Steve Kerr. I forget. He's the longest.
He's the longest.
Spoelstra was coaching,
Spoelstra, right? Yeah. So he's like, because we were talking about that.
It's Pop and then Spoelstra.
Yeah, when Pop like retired or moved to front office, it's like I think it was Eric Spoelstra that's like the longest tenured head coach for the NBA.
He's still so young looking. He's still young to be
fair. He's also Filipino, so he's always going to look young.
Fair enough. And looks good genes helps him out a little bit.
All right, we got to take a break. And when we come back, we will close it out here on Hawaii Sports Radio and live on YouTube. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Closing it out here on this Aloha Monday on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel as we do every single Monday. And you guys can listen live every single weekday from 8 to 10. I was about to say 8 to 9. Guys, I have made it, but
I'm so proud.
Yeah, I actually did make it towards the ending of this show, and I think now my brain knows that it's the end of the show, and she is starting to shut off now because, and that's just how it's going to happen. So 8 to 10 or on demand at hawaiisportsradio.com, wherever you get your podcasts or watching some of these shows, including, as we mentioned earlier, and a lot of you guys have watched it, so and liked and subscribed to our YouTube channel, and Paul and Michael's extensive conversation with Matt Elliott. So be sure you guys check that out on our YouTube channel, and thank you very much. And you guys can always get in on the conversation, but it's kind of, now that I'm back, and again, I saw like a lot of our colleagues too, they're all taking vacation now. Michael, like, when are you going to take your PTO? Are you going to take PTO during the summer? Because I saw Brian McGuinness is visiting the homeland in Ireland, I believe I saw on his Instagram. Christian Shimabuku I think he is somewhere in Asia, I saw, right? Like
Indonesia, I thought I saw, or something like that.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, all of the colleagues are out there going on their vacations, because as you guys know that follow us, then all of the different media outlets, summer is kind of the slower period where we can kind of take a step back for a little bit, because once the beginning of August hits, especially, is when we start rocking and rolling again with high school sports, starting with that first weekend. I think is like we got girls volleyball and football, of course, and then getting into UH football, like fall camp and everything. Oh, by the way, before I forget to mention, and I have to keep mentioning it, remind me throughout the week and everything, that Sisterhood Social 4 is back, and make sure you guys save the date for August 9th. It'll be at the Clarence T.C. Ching Athletics Complex. Still working on a little bit more details, so I will definitely post that on my personal social media, and of course our High Sports Radio social media once we have the links to register and all of that stuff. So Sisterhood Social 4 is a go. It will be on August 9th, and that is actually a packed week of stuff too at football. I think you got Pigskin Pig Out, then you got like the Braddahhood Ball or whatnot. You have like the bowling thing in a couple of weeks with Hawaii Football Network. There's like, we're just gearing up here for everything.
Roll up to the season.
Yeah.
I think those are all on different weekends, too. I think you're just blurring everything together, because there's no way those are all on the same weekend.
I'm not saying it's the same weekend. I'm saying that they're like happening. There's this, there's that, and then we start football at the end of August for the first game against Stanford. So
there's Mountain Media West Days too. Cool, you're gonna go to that in Vegas?
Yeah, no,
She's
we'll see.
debating. It seems.
Well, if somehow it works out, I mean, Steven Tsai always keeps asking me, "Are you gonna go? Are you gonna go?" I guess he wants a new buddy or something.
I don't blame him. I get it. I would want buddies to travel too.
He still talks about the ice cream that they give away, I guess. They give away ice cream?
I was going to say, cool, you got to speak to that.
I know
they do give away ice cream. I'm just not ice cream person.
Well, that's
so.
Steven Tsai's highlight of the trip.
It's not like they bring out an ice cream sundae cart. It's just like the ice cream chocolate dip stick things, the stuff you can just get at 7-Eleven. But shout out to Steven, because I would probably get like that if they were passing out nice hot crunchy French fries. So I ain't gonna knock food excitement. Obviously, I've been talking about food for half the time, but
I actually haven't eaten French fries in a while. I think I'm trying to cut down my sodium, and French fries, I just haven't been eating French fries.
I just thought you were boycotting because McDonald's did the change with their their French fry gate over there.
Here's the thing, I already believe that they were giving unproportionate, because I felt like the small French fries already, even before they changed, when they had the medium French fries in the red case, I felt like they were equal. In fact, I tweeted about that, I think, from a former account.
Good.
And, they tweeted back.
Good.
They tweeted at me. It's like, oh no, that's not the case. It's like,
stop lying.
Okay.
Lies.
I must see if I can find that tweet, actually.
And then they went even smaller. That's what's gonna happen.
But this was years ago, where I said I feel like it's the same between the small and the medium, but they said apparently it's not.
That's what'll get you canceled off Love Island right there, Michael. That'll get you kicked off. All because you're going at the big M. Right?
They'll dig up stuff on you.
That'll be the The big scandal is Michael was getting at the big M, the arches, the golden arches. He was trying to call them out.
No, Mountain
Brutal.
West Media Days, it is a lot. It's a couple of 2 days worth of, the first day is when the student athletes are available, and then they do their different, everything's kind of scheduled out where they have, well, obviously to open things off, Commissioner Gloria Nevarez is the one that welcomes everybody. And of course, she's going to have a lot of questions with everything going on. I can imagine that the media rights deal is probably at the top of what every single media person is curious about. I know that would be my number one question for her. So hopefully by next week, I don't want to be too optimistic about that, but maybe we'll get a little bit more clarity on what direction it's headed. And by direction, I mean a better guesstimate from directly herself. But obviously, if negotiations are still happening, we won't know, because all we know right now is all the speculation that people are trying to make the comparison to the Pac-12 on how much the per school cut will be with the new media rights deal starting in 2026. But I know, at least for me, that's kind of the top of the list on what I would want to figure out from next week. And then from there, you get to break off to ask questions. Everything's just so well organized at these media days. And there's these rooms, and we have photos. We can go in, take photos and social media content of the players. Like, again, this year will be Pafele, Ashlock, and Jemai Otis, of when they put on the uniforms to do like the stuff in front of the green screen and everything like that. That gets
Hopefully
really
Nike
fun.
uniforms.
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah, that's true. That will be kind of like the first look of the hopefully, potentially Nike uniforms. That would be kind of interesting. The first look. I know that's what everyone is curious about. And yeah, and then the coaches, so it's like kind of broken off into coach or student athlete day would be the Wednesday, and then the coaches do their rounds on Thursday. So it actually is pretty fun. If I do go, you guys, I promise I will have all of the necessary equipment this time. And I'm actually thinking of upgrading my computer. So, because she is getting a little too slow to try to edit some of the videos and stuff. I need to up all of that stuff to try to edit videos a bit faster and stop getting alerts and it bogging down. So fortunately, I got to bite the bullet and possibly upgrade my laptop pretty soon. But I will not forget the very important memory stuff that I forgot last year, and it just jammed me up with trying to get you guys content and put some content up for all of our social media and website like that.
It's all Paul's fault.
True, it is all Paul's fault.
Cool. You know what? As an idea, you can stream from YouTube on your phone, and you just have your phone on a selfie stick, and then you just go around that would be kind of fun.
It's a lot of work.
Not really, because you're
It's
there.
not that it's not a lot of work. I just don't want to be charged with, in case someone does say something on the live stream. I am not going to be the one to be blamed for that happening.
Any press is good press.
I don't know.
Well, if who gets banned from the event, then I'll just go next year.
Yeah, no.
This guy.
Anyways, so no, I will not do the live stream because, again, not that honestly, when last year there was really nothing that stood out that I said. Obviously, when they know they're in front of the camera, but you don't know if you pick up background noise. And these days,
was it last year or 2 years ago that Timmy
Subscribers
made headlines about mentioning the number of wins?
I think that was 2 years ago, but that wasn't even at Media Days. That was at. That was just the interview because he's a regular on Tim Murray's show, and he mentioned that. Anyways, we gotta go. So for Michael Escaro, Paul Brecht, I'm Ku'ule Agbayani. Mahalo for listening and watching. Bye.
Home of the